Okay, this time I want to welcome our online viewers to One World Spiritual Center, where we honor the paths to God and support you in your own unique spiritual journey. We are an interspiritual community.
Turn your mic on.
Oh, I need to do that. Thank you. All right. How does that sound? Oh, that sounds better. Okay, we are an interspiritual community. There we are. So we welcome you. And please join us at any time, and we're just glad to have you here. It is said that the ancient Egyptians believed that upon their death, they were asked two questions, which would determine how they would continue on their journey into the afterlife. The first question was, did you find joy in your life? The second question was, did you bring joy to others in your life? It's as if joy contains some kind of a spiritual power that is not only important for us to experience, but it is something that is important for us to inspire in others. And I was wondering, why this emphasis on joy? It just never occurred to me. I mean, we sing about it, we talk about it, but the Egyptians were not the only ones that talked about joy. Jesus said, ask and you will receive, that your joy may be complete. That was in John 16:24. The Buddha taught his disciples to live in joy, and it was noticed by others how his disciples seemed exceptionally joyful. Have you ever noticed how the Dalai Lama laughs a lot? It's as if all of our problems and everything just needs to be lightened up a little bit. So I began to look at this. So why is joy, and what is this power, and what does it have to do with healing especially? Well, when it comes to healing, there is one book that becomes a necessary part of everyone's spiritual library. It's an old book. It's been out for a while. The book is called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Now, how many of you have this in your library? Raise your hand. Okay, we got a few. This is one of those books when people say, can I borrow it? The answer is no. Go get your own, because you are going to use this. I was lucky enough to experience Louise. She worked with people living with AIDS. But she came to Atlanta several decades ago, and I was lucky enough to attend one of her workshops on healing when she came here. She taught that what we believe about ourselves and about our lives becomes true, and that working with people to recognize what they're thinking and make the changes for a healthier, happier life is part of the healing process. You know, Myrtle Fillmore, that was part of her healing in the Unity movement. She had tuberculosis. And she recognized that as growing up, she had been a sickly child. And she just always felt angry at her body. And when she went and she heard a speaker by the name of Dr. E.B. Weeks, and he said, you are a child of God and you do not inherit illness. And she thought, well, what am I doing being sick? So she thought, when she started looking at how angry she was in her body, she realized she needed to start changing her thinking. So first she started apologizing to her body. And then she said, I used to think of you this way, and instead I think of you this way. Instead of being sick and not able to support me in life, I now see you healthy and strong. It took her 2 years, but she totally healed from tuberculosis. So that's pretty powerful. That's pretty powerful. Well, in Louise's book, in the back of the book, she lists, as you can see here, 334 different diseases. And then the mental belief that may be causing the disease, and then a positive affirmation to change that belief. What I found so interesting is that 20% of the positive affirmations mentions joy. The only other word that is mentioned more than joy is love. She died last year at the age of 90. And she was just a powerful voice into how we can heal our lives, and that we have a power to heal using the word joy, and to lift our own spirits, and to find ourselves in recovery. Remember Norman Cousins? How many of you know who Norman Cousins is? Few people don't. Okay. It was back in 1964, and Norman Cousins was given a terminal diagnosis for the disease he had. I'm not sure what it was. But he felt guided to not buy into his doctor's diagnosis, who told him just to go home and put his affairs in order. Instead, he checked into a hotel and used treatments of vitamin C and got movies of the Marx Brothers and candid camera and made himself laugh. He extended his life by 26 years just through the power of laughter. This may not seem too unusual today, but back in the 60s, it was revolutionary. Our mental attitudes are so important. Science is now recognizing that importance. And I found on helpguide.org on the internet, they list the benefits of laughter. Laughter relaxes the whole body, which relieves physical tension and stress. Laughter boosts the immune system, which decreases stress hormones and increases infection-fighting antibodies and immune cells. Laughter triggers the release of endorphins, which promotes an overall sense of well-being. Anybody have that endorphin high when you exercise? It really feels good. So it really works on the whole body. Laughter protects the heart, which improves the function of blood vessels and increases blood flow. Now, Louise Hay mentions joy in both problems with the blood and with the heart. And she also talks about the importance of joy in the bloodstream because it circulates. So to have a happy bloodstream. I don't know, but it seems to work. Laughter lightens feelings of anger. Laughter may even help us live longer, according to a study that was done in Norway. Well, many of you know that I'm dealing with cancer. One of the things I appreciate about the Georgia Cancer Specialist Group, which is part of the Northside Cancer Institute, is their attitude. I walk in and I'm greeted by name. You hear laughter everywhere, among the staff and among the patients. I had one lady who, it was her first time there, and she goes, "Why is everybody so happy?" And I said, "Because it's so easy to be sad. We need to lighten up. It's not that cancer is funny, but at least we're here treating each other and we're enjoying each other." And so when I go in, I don't dread going to see my oncologist at all. It really is a happy place. And it means so much to the patients that come in. When I was first diagnosed with cancer, I was going through some drama. I was in my pity party. But I called 3 people and I told them what was going on. I asked them not to tell anyone and to please hold a high watch for me, filled with the possibility for healing. Then my husband, Scott, and I went off and we did our drama and we did our self-pity. And we just cried and we held on to each other. But I told them, these 3 people, we want to join you. I don't need you to join me. I can do the pity party pretty well all by myself. So it took us a while, but we got there. And then I was over at Unity North at that time. And then we started sharing with everybody else. Now that was 19 years ago that I first got the diagnosis of cancer. And I'm still here today. Yeah. What I also found was when I started telling people what their responses were. I mean, some went into the pity party. "Oh, you poor thing," you know. Or the one that my husband always said, Why do people say, oh, I knew someone had cancer and they're dead? You know, we don't need to hear that. Thank you very much. But no, my favorite that came in is a lady called and she said she knew someone that for $500 would put a curse on the cancer cells. And it was a money back guarantee. You mean if I die, I get my money back? Maybe, but no. Maybe cancer is a pretty funny thing. I don't know. I know when I was sitting in the treatment room over at the cancer center, and I was getting an infusion of a drug that strengthens my bones. The cancer, it's breast cancer that's gone into my vertebrae, and I have got a cracked vertebrae where the cancer is. So that's why I've got this little hump back. Well, there was a lady sitting next to me, and maybe you've met people like this. They are just naturally funny. I mean, she was just more fun to be around. And so she and I started talking, and we started cracking up. And she was just a delight. Well, there was a guy sitting on the other side of me, and finally he piped up and he said, I'm sitting here feeling sorry for myself, and you two are just cutting up. And I turned around and I said, feeling sorry for ourselves is not allowed. It's too easy. And then I saw all these other ladies, many of them with no hair, all nodding their heads. And they started smiling. And then they all started speaking up. And one lady said, you know, we just don't allow it. It's too easy to feel sorry for ourselves. What we need to do is lighten up. Let's just not go there. And I saw his wife mouth, thank you. So evidently he was pulling her down too. And he started smiling, and he started lightening up. And so I just thought, I hope we shifted that man's energy to realize, yes, it's not an easy thing to go through, but you don't have to go through it alone. And it's not the death sentence that it used to be. More people are living with cancer than are dying from cancer now. And Marina, I hope you don't mind, I love the fact when you went through chemotherapy and you lost your hair and it was Halloween and here you had this bald head and on the back of it, her head at Halloween, she put a smiling face. You were great. I mean, that was the perfect way to treat, okay, so I don't have any hair. Smile about it. The other way I'm finding about smiling is I started walking again. And when cars pass me and I do this to kind of, so they notice me, and know that I notice them, but I smile and I wave at them. And they smile and wave back. And it just becomes, walking becomes joyous. It lifts my spirits, and I've had people, excuse me, come up to me in the Kroger and say, I see you all the time. And she said, I love how you smile. And she said, it just makes my day. Something as simple as smiling at people can make all the difference in the world. Marianne Williamson talks about joy in her book, Everyday Grace. She says many people are addicted to suffering and have a mental habit of pointing out the worst people or situations. Not only are they robbing themselves of joy, but their failure to appreciate all the goodness that life has to offer actually diminishes that good. Both our blessing and our condemnation have power. You choose. We know it is whatever we focus on, we seem to attract more of. Why not attract more joy? Dr. Christine Northrup describes the same thing, and she calls it the law of attraction, which we're all familiar with. She recommends daily doses of joy and appreciation of ourselves and of others. The ancient Egyptians somehow recognized this. Norman Cousins demonstrated this. Well, when I was the minister at Unity of Gainesville, we had a laughter yoga group. We had more fun with that. And we would just lift our spirits. It started in India, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but I thought, well, if I'm going to talk about joy, why not have one of the master teachers of joy help me with a video presentation? So I invited John Cleese, to join us this morning. So if you'll show that video.
And these benefits being studied in India by a doctor who's become almost obsessed by the idea that laughter really is the best medicine. And he organizes groups that meet every morning just to laugh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Of laughter session makes you feel fresh throughout the day. You inhale more oxygen, and it has been proved by scientific studies that laughter helps you to unwind the negative effects of stress, and also it boosts your immune system. And all these minor symptoms of cough, cold, sore throat, and infections will go down significantly. We'll do lassi laughter. Please, you have to drink lassi. In laughter exercise, we do start with fake laughter and the kind of forced laughter. But when you laugh in a group, you have a good eye contact, it turns into real. So half of it is fake and half of it is real. But does it matter from the point of view of the benefit? Same set of happy chemicals are released whether laughter is forced or whether laughter is real. So the body doesn't know the difference? Yes. That's incredible. Yeah. That is so weird. Yes. But you can get away with it by faking it. You still get the good effect. Yes, we have a slogan called fake it until you make it. Well, you all know what a good laugh feels like, but what struck me was how easy it was to get started, because we have a lot of friendly, warm, funny faces coming at you. You respond very naturally, and a lot of the time when we're with people we like, we laugh, although there isn't anything very funny going on, although, of course, the whole thing's wonderfully ridiculous. Dr. Kataria's mission has led him to set up clubs in unusual places. He invited me to attend the first session with a lovely group of murderers, rapists, and robbers in a Bombay prison. The prisoners have a lot of stress, a lot of depression. They're away from the family and they've got a lot of anger inside them. And laughter helps you to allay your anger feeling. Is that your heart? Ready? Start. Sitting here, I found myself wondering, do we really want villains to be having quite such a good time? And I remembered that people who are supposed to benefit from this are not just the prisoners, but also the prison staff. I'm struck by how laughter connects you with people. It's almost impossible to maintain any kind of distance or any sense of social hierarchy when you're just howling with laughter. Laughter is a force for democracy.
Something as simple as laughter. So, yeah, there's a lot of laughter yoga groups all over Atlanta. So if you're needing some help with this, check it out. Just, put Laughter Yoga Atlanta on your search engine, and there it is. So let me put it out to you. What are some ways to help you be joyful? I thought, of course, laughter yoga. That's a lot of fun. Funny TV shows. Anybody have a favorite show that makes you laugh?
America's Funniest Home Videos.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Stephen Colbert. If I get down about politics, boy, you just lift my spirits on that. You can put on YouTube and search on joy and on comedy and get all kinds of videos to watch. What about funny movies? Anybody have a favorite? One of mine's John Cleese, The Fish Called Wanda. I mean, I laugh so much in that one. It's just, I've got the DVD. It's one of my favorite ones. Anybody else have a favorite movie?
Oh, my favorite year with Peter O'Toole.
Oh, yeah. He's just unleashed in that. That's great. Anybody else have a favorite? Something that really, yeah.
I don't have a favorite movie, but one of my thoughts is just get a pet. I mean, if you watch, you throw something in front of your cat or watch your dog go out and play or go after it, they're hysterical. If you just focus on them and watch them, they just crack you up.
One of the things I do at Christmas time, when I would get kind of down, is I'd go to the mall and watch the little kids with Santa. It would just lift my spirits, even the ones that were crying. It was just, their little eyes getting so big with the wonder and everything, and it would just lighten my heart. It's just smiling at people. Just to have a smile. Somebody else. What lifts your spirits?
The old I Love Lucy shows.
Oh my gosh, yes. They're still classic. They're still classic. Melanie.
Being in nature, it's not that you're going to look at a tree and start laughing hysterically, but it certainly lifts your spirits. And I didn't say the thing about get a pet because I'm trying to get rid of a dog, but I am. Anybody is interested, see me after service.
And this dog is hilarious, right?
Yes!
Melanie's dry humor makes me laugh.
It helps. It helps. Anybody can think of anything else. Yeah.
I was at the mall one time. I was just going through my divorce, and I was walking along, and this young man, he just smiled at me and he said, "Smile," and it just made me happy.
I'm just smiling at a person.
Yeah.
Can just really lift their day. And somehow I notice you, and like saying namaste, I honor you, and I honor who you are. Just that's what a smile can send. Yeah, great. Somebody else. Come on, get our thinking cap on.
Children. Where we were yesterday, there was a little kid looking for his mom, and there was a line of people waiting in a restaurant, and he was like, doing what little kids do, and when he smiled, the whole line just beamed with like a big grin, just watching this little boy. It was very cute.
Oh yeah, babies. When babies start laughing and all of that. And my mother always tells the story, and I must have been just a few months old, and she was just rubbing her thumb over something that made a sound, and I was laying on the sofa, and I started chuckling, and this is a baby with a deep laughter. And Mom was so impressed that she got the neighbor over, and they kept saying, "Sydney, you silly thing, you're just, you're laughing." And that night when my dad came home, Mom tried to get me to do it again, but of course I wouldn't do it. So, the babies, babies are so much fun. Think of anything else.
Oh, Michael, yeah.
Funny songs.
A funny song. A funny song. Yeah, so music is very important to lift the soul and lift the spirits. That's great. Yeah.
Nick always cracks me up, our assistant music director. What Nick has started doing lately, if my wife or I ask him to do something he doesn't want to do, he'll look at us and go, "Yes, my queen."
Well, I'm going to leave you with this. That this week I give you the gift of laughter. Something's going to happen to support you in having a joy-filled moment. Maybe it's only a smile, but it's only a smile away from perfect health. So thank you.